When you compare the on-paper specs of the new Motorola Edge 40 against last year's Edge 30, you will realize that there are a lot of feature upgrades and Motorola hasn't even increased the price. I'm highlighting this because this year's Realme 10 Pro Plus, when I used it, didn't feel like an upgrade from last year's Realme 9 Pro Plus. And while the Redmi Note 12 Pro Plus was quite an upgrade from the Redmi Note 11 Pro Plus, it was also far more expensive. Now with that context out of the way, I've been using the Motorola Edge 40 for the last 2 days, and while this cannot be a detailed review, it's still a detailed first impressions of the phone. And spoiler alert, it's been very good. Hi, if you're watching me for the first time, I'm Ershad. This is Trakin Tech English, your place for detailed smartphone reviews. While the Edge 40 is not as slim and light as the predecessor, the Edge 30, it is still pretty slim for a 2023 phone. So the PMMA variant is about 7.49 millimeters thick, and the vegan leather variant is 7.58 millimeters thick. And the phones weigh well under 175 grams too. The in-hand feel of both the variants is very good, and I particularly like the vegan leather variant because it's got a really good texture to it. And considering there is no price difference between the two, you might as well consider picking up the vegan leather variant, which is available in this green color and black as well. In fact, what I noticed with the PMMA variant is that even this one looks more premium compared to other PMMA phones that Motorola has launched in the past. But what makes the Edge 40 a true upgrade is the extra premium features that you get with the design of the phone. You get a metal frame for structural rigidity, you get IP68 rating, 15-watt wireless charging, and you also get eSIM support as well. Essentially, the SIM card tray accepts one nano SIM card, and you can use an eSIM in a dual SIM setup. Now, the camera module of the phone is also fused, so it looks damn nice, but the camera rings actually also protrude out from the module, which means that the module actually juts out a fair bit from the rear, and when you place it on a table, there's definitely going to be table wobble. So if you want to use the phone flat on a flat surface, it's gonna be slightly irritating. The second problem that I must highlight is that the Type-C port at the bottom is a USB 2.0 type, but that's the case with most phones in this price range, so I guess we can't complain too much. These niggles apart, the Motorola Edge 40 is classy, it's suave, it means business, like James Bond on a mission. By the way, last year's Edge 30 is available for a lower price right now, and it's still a great deal, so if you guys want to buy it, YouTube has a handy product buying link. Go check it out. Let me know what you guys feel of the experience of buying the phone from YouTube itself. Also, while you're at it, do give us your support if you're watching the video, because this kind of testing, we do it for you guys and it takes a lot of effort. We'd love your support. Hit the subscribe button. Adding to that whole premium experience is the curved 6.55-inch Full HD Plus POLED panel on the front. Now, this display has a peak refresh rate of 144 Hz and it has a peak brightness of 1200 nits as well. So when you take it outdoors, the sunlight legibility is fantastic when it kicks on in auto brightness mode. And apart from that, when you're watching HDR content as well, the peak brightness is very good. You get HDR playback on YouTube. Currently, our unit is not supporting HDR playback on Netflix, but Motorola has promised that HDR playback on Amazon Prime and Netflix is definitely going to be supported in the near future. But one thing I'm not sure of is if there is an extra glass protection on top of the display itself, like Corning Gorilla Glass, because on the Edge 30, there is Gorilla Glass 3. And to top it off, when you take the phone out of the box, you will realize that there is no pre-attached screen guard, so you might have to pre-buy one to protect it from scratches when you buy the new phone. Another good thing I noticed about the display is that the anti-fingerprint oleophobic coating that is there on top of it, it does register smudge marks, but not as much as other phones in this price category, and it can be cleaned off very easily as well. Overall, the display quality of the Motorola Edge 40 is an A+ from me. Also, a part of the display is the in-display fingerprint scanner, and it unlocks the phone really fast, but it should have been placed slightly higher. And there's also an X-axis linear haptic vibration motor that you get with the phone. It's not the best, most refined one, but it serves the purpose. Finally, talking about the internal specs, Motorola Edge 40 comes for the very first time with MediaTek's Dimensity 8020 6nm fabrication chip. And there's only one variant of the phone that you can buy, which is the 8256GB variant of the phone, and that's LPDDR4X RAM and UFS 3.1 storage. By the way, there's some form of cooling system also inside this very slim form factor, which helps in dissipating the heat from the body to ensure that the phone doesn't run too hot. Now, I tested the Dimensity 8020, and it is definitely more powerful than the Snapdragon 778G Plus and the Dimensity 7200 inside the Vivo V27. So you definitely get better Antutu and Geekbench scores as well. But what matters to me the most is sustained performance, and in that as well, the Motorola Edge 40 doesn't disappoint considering its slim form factor. In CPU throttle, where we engaged 40 cores for 30 minutes, we got a stability score of 77%. But more importantly, in 3D Mark Wildlife stress test, we got a GPU stability of over 91%, and the phone didn't get too hot or didn't lose too much battery life either. In fact, I played a couple of rounds of Farlight 84 on the phone. That's a new game that I've been enjoying. and the phone didn't break a sweat at all. You can also play Call of Duty Mobile at very high graphics and max frame rates, and there's also a special mode using which we can push the performance for the gameplay as well. Daily performance is also rock solid. I faced absolutely no stutters. The 144 refresh rate is smooth, touch response is fast. No complaints whatsoever. Now the phone is also thicker compared to the predecessor because Motorola has added a larger battery inside. You get a 4400 mAh battery inside the H40, and I've actually drained it for about a day. It's not enough for the adaptive battery to kick in and do its magic, but on that day of testing, the phone lasted me about 5 hours, 11 minutes of screen on time with about 8% of battery life left. But of course, this is purely only on Wi-Fi. There was no SIM card inside, and it was running benchmarks, and I was capturing pictures with it. So the testing process was going on. This is still pretty good, and I know for a fact that Motorola generally does good battery optimization. So stay tuned for a full review to know more about the battery performance. As for network connectivity, the phone also supports 14 5G bands, Wi-Fi 6, all of that's good. But the main reason why I recommend a Motorola phone to most of my family and friends is for the Android experience that you get with it. So you get a near stock Android experience with MyUX, which is Motorola's own custom skin, which are a few embellishments on top, useful embellishments I will say, on top of vanilla Android. On the H40 you get Android 13. It's running April security patch, and Motorola claims that you will get 2 years of software updates and 3 years of security updates. In fact, when we had a briefing with Motorola, the company said that they're listening to the user feedback about delayed software updates and they're working on it. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it happens. I really like the features that you get with MyUX. Ready for Moto action, all of those are present on the H40 as well, like this. And the new Moto Secure app gives you a peek of how ThinkShield security works on the phone, because that was a concern for a lot of people. Like, there is ThinkShield inside the phone, but how does it actually work? So now you can see that in action as well. For example, you get options for network protection. You can see that clearly. Lock screen security, permissions manager, which is far more intense. And apart from that, you also get password scrambling, pin scrambling, all of those things within the Secure app itself. Very distinctly put out for you to see. So overall, the Android software experience on the phone is also A+. Finally, let's talk about the camera setup on the H40. You get a 50MP primary camera, a 13 megapixel ultra wide, which also doubles up as the macro camera, which can shoot both photo and video. And on the front, you've got a 32 megapixel selfie camera. The coolest aspect of the 50MP primary camera is that you get an attached lens, which has an aperture of f1.47. I think in this price category, I haven't seen this wide of an aperture. And the lens is also optically stabilized. The kind of depth that we got with certain pictures, it even rivals the portrait mode if you get close to the subject. I really like the natural bokeh that you can achieve with it. But apart from that, the algorithm does sharpen details slightly, and the HDR algorithm is a hit and a miss. But the color science is very close to natural, and the skin tones also look true to life. The color science consistency between the ultra wide angle camera and the primary camera is not that great, but ultra wide captures detailed pictures in daylight. However, the low light ultra wide shots with night mode are not that great. Low light pictures from the primary camera, on the other hand, are really good. They're pretty sharp, and the wide aperture and optical image stabilization definitely helps here. That said, selfies in low light don't look that good. HDR selfies also don't look that great. However, daylight selfies in regular good lighting conditions have great skin tones and details as well. You know what I feel about the HDR performance of the Motorola H40? I've seen this happen with previous Motorola phones as well. After an update, it sort of improves. So hopefully that happens with the H40 as well. This is too soon for the H40's camera testing. So stay tuned for a detailed camera testing as well. Now you can shoot 4K 30 FPS videos from all the cameras, the primary, the ultra wide and the selfie. Primary camera should have given you the option to shoot at least 4K 60 FPS, but that's not available. Video stabilization is generally nice. The overall quality of the video seems okay. Just take a look at the video by yourself and let me know what you guys think. By the way, to make it easier for you guys to actually evaluate the pictures and the video quality, I've added the full resolution samples to a G Drive link. Go check it out in the description below. With my initial 2-day testing, I can say this with a fair bit of confidence that the Motorola H40 is the best upgraded phone of 2023 for me, and it might even win that award by the end of the year if there's no other phone that sort of matches this. The phone has all the premium features which most brands compromise on. There are very few compromises here. I'm definitely going to be comparing the H40 to the Pixel 7a, so stay tuned for that content. In the meantime, tell me what you guys think about the phone in the comments below. Let's see what your feeling is like. Anyway, until then, I'm getting to the process of testing the next phone, and I'll see you in the next one. Keep tracking and stay safe.